Anushka.
Thank you, Robert. Well, you were talking to Mel earlier about Labour's Brexit position, and I'd just like to explain it to our viewers. The party agreed to a plan about what would happen under two scenarios, A and B. So, under scenario A, we stay in this parliament, and that means we either have a Tory Brexit or no deal. Labour pushes for a referendum, and in that situation, it would definitely campaign to remain. Now, scenario B is the one that has caused a few raised eyebrows. No, not Julie Etchingham's. Here we go, scenario B. So there's a general election here. Labour wins it, and then it goes to negotiate a new deal because it wants to stick to delivering Brexit. It then has a referendum, and this is where there is a question mark. The question mark is, would it then go for Remain, or would it then back its own deal? This is the thing which has left people a little confused. I'm sure Emily's about to clear it up. Some say it is it's Labour coming off the Brexit fence. Others say it's more of a gentle lean in one direction. And meanwhile, just quickly, I want to show you that the party is facing a lot of pressure tonight about another issue. BBC Panorama that has 8 former Labour staff making allegations about Corbyn's top allies interfering in the anti-Semitism process. Robert.
Thanks, Anushka. So much to talk about. Now, you were nodding vigorously when you said you were going to clear up any confusion about your policy. So I understand.
No, I was shaking my head vigorously when she was talking about this Plan B, which has actually got nothing to do with Labour policy.
Well,
so it's certainly the trade union policy,
yep.
And certainly the unions agreed that that's what they think that we should do. But that's the unions. And specifically in the Shadow Cabinet meeting, Jeremy said it's actually the first part we're interested in. The second part is not going to be our policy. So, and I don't understand why people are confused about that.
OK, so just to be absolutely clear on this,
okay.
It wasn't that Jeremy Corbyn, your leader, just said we'll park a decision on this issue of whether or not Labour negotiates, if it gets into government, a new deal. He actually said, no, that bit of what the unions want is dumped.
No, listen. This will take 4 or 5 sentences, so
Good.
Just focus. Okay?
I'm going to focus.
Focus, right? So the first part is this, is that the middle ground has been burnt away as far as we can see. So we're going to end up with no deal or some sort of slightly crazy Tory deal, and we don't agree with it. We will want to put it to a second referendum, and a second referendum in which there needs to be Remain on the ballot paper, and we will campaign to Remain.
Sure.
That's our policy.
That's clear.
Now, then there's a question about what will happen if there's a general election. And I have to say, you'll probably have a problem no matter which political party you ask. So I don't know if you ask Sir Nicholas, what's in the Tory party manifesto right now for the next general election on Brexit? He won't be able to say, neither will the Liberals, neither will the Scots Nats, because we don't know when the election is going to be. We don't know whether we'll be in the European Union or not. And what's more, Labour, being a big old-fashioned democratic party with 500,000 members, we have a Clause 5 process during which time we will consult our members and all of the stakeholders, including the trade unions, and will then decide how we go forward after that.
OK.
I'm really sorry that I can't predict what's going to be in the manifesto.
Okay.
Obviously, if anybody wants to put any money on what's going to be in the manifesto, what I would suggest they do is look at what's our current policy, which is that we are to remain and we're to campaign to remain, what's likely to come up at conference and the feelings within the centre of the party and where the party is likely to go, right? and just sort of work it out. We're likely to build on our policies as they are developed.
OK, but there's a different point here, and you've rather elegantly patronised me
You're patronising me by bringing me on and telling me that half of my policy I didn't even know about. You're telling me that the trade union policy is suddenly mine. It's nonsense.
That's not what we're
having it.
Curiously, that's not what we were doing. I can
Yes,
I can
you are.
I can tell you that the SNP in their next manifesto will say they favour Remain. I can tell you that Plaid Cymru will say they favour Remain. That the Liberal Democrats will say they favour Remain. That Nicholas's party will favour Brexit. But you cannot tell me that Labour will favour Remain in its next manifesto. You're the only party who cannot say what their position will be in the next manifesto.
So just in order to show what a bit of nonsense you've just said. So let's say it's in 22, right? Let's say it's in 22, and we've left the European Union for 2 years. What's the SNP, what's the Scots Nats policy going to be then, or Plaid's policy, or the Lib Dems, or anyone else's? Do tell us.
So what's your position going to be in the autumn?
Our position in the autumn is that we will be calling for a general election.
And what will your position be in your manifesto if there's a
Because we won't have a
election?
manifesto in the autumn because we don't know whether there'll be a general election
But you just said you're going to be calling for one.
Of course we're going to be calling for one, but you know, we've been calling for one for a couple of years, and unfortunately they don't pay any attention to us. You know, even though they're a minority party, they just go, oh no, we can carry on with a DUP, it'll all be fine. And they do nothing. They do nothing. They don't do any governing, they can't get any of their major policies through, and they just sit there, you know, in government going, no, we're not moving, we're not having a general election, we're in charge, and they do nothing.
OK, but I'm not going to be the only person listening to you who thinks it's odd to be calling for a general election and not knowing what your position is on the biggest issue of the day for that autumn general election.
We are building the barricades for Remain, right? That is what we have said, and that is what we're doing, and we will need to work out our manifesto as and when a general election is called. We had a big old democratic process before the last general election, and do you know what? The Tories had a couple of, you know, clever boys in a back room at number 10 who wrote their manifesto, and look what a disaster that was compared to the collective knowledge of the Labour Party coming together and writing our manifesto, which was the great success that it was. And that's what we're going to do again.
Great success. It's true in that election. You got up to 40%. But look, there was a poll last week where you strip out the don't knows, you were down on 13%. I mean, that must deeply concern you.
Of course it does.
So what do you do about that?
Well, as I say, I think the first thing we needed to do was to have some clarity on what our Brexit position was. I think that was very important. I think that we need to sort out obviously this horrible, horrible issue of anti-Semitism, has to be sorted out within the party. And I think that we need to get onto the front foot. We need to show that frankly, it doesn't have to be this way. This government is not the only way in which things need to be. I think that we need to be clear about how we are an alternative, how it is that the country is crying out for an alternative to this moribund government, you know, and how it is that the regions need some investment, how we need to make sure that, you know, we can breathe life into public service again and into our country.